All right, guys, it's that time again. Let's talk about Tesla's next earnings call coming up next week. We are at a critical junction in Tesla's journey as we will get our first glimpse into the actual impact of Elon working for the US government in a polarizing environment, and we will see the impact of the current trade war going on as well. So what is that impact going to be, and what is it going to do to Tesla stock? I mean, is this a long-term problem? Or is it simply short-term noise? Well, I'm going to answer all that today for you, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do with my Tesla shares. I just ask in exchange for you to gently tap that like button. That's right, guys, we're tapping it today. And consider subscribing too. It's super easy to do if you like the truth without the hype. So in the kind of best case scenario, I think Tesla barely beats on either EPS or the revenue numbers, but that is a best case scenario, unfortunately, this time around. I just don't suspect we're going to see a beat on both, and seeing a massive miss on both, unfortunately, on the other side of the equation wouldn't be nearly as surprising as it would if we had a massive beat on both sides. That's just kind of the reality of where we're at right now. I mean, it's hard to hit revenue estimates when delivery numbers miss Wall Street's estimates by so much, and it's hard to hit those EPS numbers when you have been seeing margins continue to erode over the past year, and you didn't really get an upswing anywhere else this time around that we know of. So that way kind of just makes it really hard to hit that number. But to me, there's something even more important on earnings this time around that will determine where the stock price goes after earnings, and we're going to get to that shortly, guys. Don't worry about it. But there are 5 big concerns that I have coming into this earnings call that are going to impact the earnings themselves and the share price, more importantly. But I also have one big positive thing that could happen as well, because if it comes, it is an actual catalyst for the stock. Not all that hypey stuff, not all that to the moon, $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there. It can be an actual catalyst for the stock. And we'll also talk about, is this short-term issue or a long-term problem? And we'll talk about what I'm doing with my Tesla stock as well. So let's jump into concern number 1, which is EPS could go down again. Now, guys, keep in mind, this isn't me being bearish. It's hilarious whenever people call me bearish, considering the fact I've only bought Tesla stock now for the past 4 or 5 years, but I don't know, whatever. Somehow that makes you a bear. But anyways, that's something that Tesla and Elon actually told us was going to happen. And clearly delivery numbers, if they're any indication, show no signs of a significant uptick in EPS once again. I mean, we know margins appear to have stayed under pressure for this quarter once again for a variety of reasons. And unfortunately, despite great energy numbers, we don't know what the effect will be, if any, on the bottom line, because it is different quarter to quarter and unpredictable. Again, that's what management told us. They're the ones that told us that that number is unpredictable. But also keep in mind, it makes up a small part of the overall profitability picture, and you got to understand that as well. Now, one day it's going to be there, but we're talking about earnings today, and today it isn't there, unfortunately. Now, yes, I agree with you guys completely. Elon can pull the rabbit out of the hat, per se. He's done it before, but it has been more than a year since we got back-to-back big jumps in EPS. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm just saying that it's a concern, and it's not something that I'm expecting. So concern number 2 is energy. Now, I hear you guys already yelling at me about the energy being up massively and continuing to grow wonderfully and being one of the few massive bright spots for Tesla stock. I know, guys, I got it. I agree with you all completely. However, the concern is that it still doesn't add much to the bottom line, which was proven last quarter and the quarter before when the numbers were good, but still didn't help out nearly as much as everyone keeps telling me that those numbers are going to help out. I'm sorry, we are not getting those results in the bottom line yet. Coming one day, absolutely. Coming this quarter, I'm going to guess probably not. Now, I said last quarter, and actually the quarter before that as well, if Elon doesn't give continued positive guidance and instead continues to say energy is going to be unpredictable and not something to really count on quarter to quarter, it means very little. Great numbers in energy mean very little to investors, and that is exactly what he continues to say on earnings. And so therefore, that is exactly how Wall Street has continued to treat it. So energy for me is still nice to see, something I love seeing because it's something tangible that I can point towards the future, unlike a lot of other projects that are out there. Something definitely tangible I can point to, but it is not nearly as big of a deal to count it on earnings today as many folks make it out to be. It's coming for sure, but unfortunately not this quarter or anytime soon, unfortunately. Concern number 3 is Elon drama. All right, guys, you knew it was coming. This one's going to be a long one, but stick with me here. You guys know, Elon just has a lot going on, and he continues to make weaves. And there's a lot to unpack here with all this sort of stuff. So let's kind of go through it. Now, in regards to this earnings call, we all know Elon is a wild card. He sometimes hurts Tesla more than he helps Tesla. Speaks off the cuff. He says wild things. He can be combative. He can not answer questions. All kinds of wild things happen. I mean, that's why he kind of does things and, does things that are outside the box that drive Tesla to those new heights. However, it also sometimes hurts the share price in the short term because earnings calls are where you talk about last quarter's performance and then you project out where you see Tesla going next quarter and through the end of the year, and maybe you kind of talk about some other wild things that you want to talk about, whatever the case is. That's okay. Maybe you talk about 2 years into the future, but you kind of briefly tease those type things and then you kind of move on. But that's not Elon's style. I mean, it's random, it's wild, and he may spend half the time discussing something that's a decade away or further. I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. Sometimes he doesn't take them all that serious. Other times he is incredibly serious on those earnings calls. It's just a wild card. And remember, guys, if you're serious about your investing and you want to work directly with me, we will be going live for Tesla's earnings, Palantir's as well, and a few others. People who are serious about their investing and want to learn right now, they're going to take advantage of the earnings flash sale where you can ask me questions during those live streams, during those earnings calls, along with the 5 courses you can take for free. We got free coaching and so much more. We'll talk more about it at the end of this video, but it's the pinned comment down there for those that are interested. All right, back on track here. We gotta get back here to the Elon drama because yes, there's more. I'm sorry, guys. I can't make this stuff up. This is just me kind of giving you guys the information here. But anyways, Elon's work with the government so far has been far from popular. Now, of course, if you're deeply ingrained in one side of the aisle per se, one side of the political aisle, you're quite happy with him. But even polling for that side of the aisle has shown Doge overall just really not being that popular, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not running down any of the political rabbit holes or conspiracies or any of that other crap here on this channel at all. You guys know that. You guys know that I hate politics with a passion. Both sides. Doesn't matter to me. It just has nothing to do with any of that sort of stuff. But when I see polling from both conservative and liberal networks and, media outlets and all other things of that nature showing Doge really not being all that popular, I feel comfortable in saying it's just not a media narrative or anything else of that nature, but it's basically the feeling overall that is being reflected by both sides. Now, on the flip side of that, it's not all doom and gloom either or anything of that nature, but he is the face of an overall unpopular effort that will have some effect on Tesla. Now, what that effect will be remains to be seen, and I don't want to speculate here since we've never seen a CEO be this ingrained in a political environment of sorts and not step down as a CEO before taking on a job like this in government. Sure, they do it, but most of the time, matter of fact, every time I can think of, they step down as a CEO over here to take this job over here within the government, but that's not what's happening right now. So this is basically new territory for sure. So the only tangible answers to be found will be in earnings, not opinions or social media speculation or any of that other noise. Now, we also know that Elon just can't stay off of X as well and is now fully, ingrained in politics like we just talked about, which doesn't help either from the kind of the perspective of long-term investors and kind of their perception on Tesla and Elon. Even those that share his political lean and, are clearly behind what he's trying to do, they're not fans of this approach and how he's doing it. Now, many already view him as distracted, and that is why they don't invest bigger in Tesla. So you can be sure that is weighing on people's minds during this earnings call. And if you don't think some on Wall Street won't draw the conclusion that Tesla missing estimates or, having a so-so earnings report or even a bad earnings report is not a direct result of him not being focused, you really don't understand how they work, and you kind of need to learn that first. I'm not saying it's not fair or it should have any bearing on Tesla stock or anything else of that nature. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is fair or not, if that happens, it will have a short-term impact on the stock price. There's a reason why Tesla is the most volatile large cap stock that has ever existed by a mile. I mean, even companies valued at, 15% of what Teslas are valued at are not usually as volatile as Tesla is. So the bottom line is, if the numbers don't meet expectations, or if Elon says something that can be viewed as negative on the earnings call, the stock most likely will get pounded once again. That is just the reality of the market we are in right now and the situation with Elon. Concern number 4, continued lack of guidance. Unlike almost every other company last quarter, Tesla did not give any formal guidance for 2025, and that was the first time in a long time that that's happened, and I had to take a pause and really think about what it meant. So were they kind of waiting for more of their own internal data with a new vehicle releasing so they can get better, more accurate guidance? That could be one. There could be other reasons as well. But in the end, that is the benefit of the doubt that I gave management last earnings call. I mean, I have no reason not to, since it does happen from time to time. It's not often, but it does happen from time to time. So I decided to give them the benefit of the doubt last quarter. But if they give no formal guidance again this quarter, and more importantly, don't really explain why, or if they do explain why, the reason is very poor, well, that becomes problematic and is a red flag for sure. Now, of course, it takes more than one red flag to say there's a massive problem, but it is not prudent at all, in my opinion, or is it honest, to call it anything less than a red flag if they don't give guidance again. I mean, if they don't, the reason has to be really great as to why they don't. Otherwise, it's a red flag. Concern number 5 is valuation. Look, guys, I know folks don't want to hear it, but Tesla is trading rich right now by any metric. And unlike in past years where Tesla got really rich, the next earnings call that came after it started trading really rich has not provided that push necessary to push the valuation back down to more reasonable levels. And more importantly, we definitely are not getting the growth or anything else to justify an elevated valuation. As a matter of fact, if the EPS number is too low once again, it can actually push the valuation to even richer levels, even if the stock goes down after earnings. I mean, that is the opposite of, say, like Nvidia a year or so ago, when it would get, way overvalued. And then all of a sudden, bang, right after earnings and a giant move up after earnings, the earnings were strong enough to put the stock into undervalued territory once again, despite the fact that it was overvalued. Stock ran up, but yet it was back to undervalued because the earnings were that good. Tesla has done that in the past, but right now, Tesla has actually been doing the opposite. So that is a concern for sure, that we could see the share price basically go down while simultaneously seeing the valuation get even richer than it already is. That is not a good spot for sure to be in. So what is the one thing that could push the Tesla stock higher? Well, this one is very simple, guys, if I'm being honest. It's not Robotaxi or Optimist. I'm sorry, I know the Tesla bulls will be all kinds of mad, but those things are all years away for either of those to add any meaningful impact on earnings. I know, guys. I know some like to say it adds trillions to the market cap today for it, but that's not the most likely scenario. And it's most certainly not what most investors, especially large investors, are thinking. I'm sorry, it has really no impact on the bottom line this quarter or the next quarter or anytime soon. The big catalyst could come if Elon gives us full details on the next model, and it will actually release basically this quarter that we're in right now, not last quarter, obviously, but it'll release in this quarter as promised, or at least not have a significant delay. And more importantly, he gives us actual guidance for Tesla stock, and that guidance actually looks good. Guys, I'm talking about tangible details like it's coming out right now this quarter, and we will sell it for, X amount of dollars, and all the other details around it would really be something that is truly a catalyst for the stock, because then you can really start projecting out what it's going to add to that bottom line. I got something tangible to work with there. Now, if he doesn't address it at all and basically says the same thing as last earnings, then obviously it's not a catalyst for now, since we have nothing to go off of. And unfortunately, Elon time many times means delay, so that will absolutely temper any excitement at all. So that formal guidance will be key on this earnings, and add in that additional model as well. And we have a formula to really have some fundamentals to back up the stock price action we have seen over the past few months, and to kind of help us push that valuation forward instead of having it continue to fall the opposite way. So is this all short-term noise or a long-term problem? Now, that one is honestly tricky to say the least. I mean, normally this is easy to assess and simply would be something as easy as this is all short-term noise, guys. That's absolutely what I'd say. It's absolutely what I've been saying for a while. Now, I still personally lean towards it being short-term noise, hence why I haven't sold a share. As a matter of fact, the fact that Tesla has declined over the past year right along with the rest of the auto industry tells me that I was actually right on two different fronts. First, that Tesla has been in decline just like everyone else, meaning that everyone predicting doom and gloom around Elon's venture into politics has once again been completely overblown. Earnings for Tesla and the rest of the automakers tell me that that is absolutely true. Not social media opinions or anything else like that, but the actual data, Because when everybody's going down altogether, that means, I don't know, I don't remember the Ford CEO being involved in politics on any level or anything else of that nature. Why would his business decline if that wasn't the case? So that tells me that's exactly what was the case. They basically declined like everybody else did, which was to be expected because we knew we were coming into a cyclical, tough time for car industry. And having said that, it also tells me that I was right to use valuation as my guide with Tesla and avoid all the silly talk like Tesla isn't cyclical like the rest of the car industry because it's not a car company. I mean, the data clearly shows me otherwise, and I was right there as well. So for me, right now, today, it is short-term noise. But if Tesla's numbers continue to erode, so they continue to go down or flatline or whatever the case is, not flatline, but continue to stay flat, but Legacy Auto, for example, sees a significant uptick in their earnings, then you can start to build a case that it may very well be a long-term problem. Now, it's not quite there yet to be sure, but it is not something that I can easily dismiss like I could before because everybody else was falling just like Tesla. You got to remember, if that upsets you when I say something like that being emotional about a stock is not a smart move. Being in love with a stock to a point where you ignore fundamental changes is how you lose a lot of money in stock investing. Again, we are not there yet. I am just giving you the scenario where I would personally have to start assessing things further. And being blind to it or trying to make excuses and foo-foo it away is simply not prudent as an investor. So what am I doing personally? This is where having your plan set before the earnings call is key. And I know many of you guys hate that I say it. Everybody says I repeat it. Okay, I don't care because it's true. Planning and having price targets is the key to investing, especially with a stock like Tesla because it is such a unique stock. But if you play the long game, you can absolutely take advantage as long as you stay away from all that short-term speculating. There is a lot of money to be made even with a stock like Tesla. So I have cash ready to deploy, and I don't care about the price action nearly as much as I care about how the business is performing. And I will happily deploy capital if we get great guidance that justifies a higher valuation, but Wall Street decides to get dumb anyways, and they decide to really get dumb. I have to have both those things happen for me to be interested in adding Tesla shares, but I'm taking a more cautious approach during this particular time frame. And that's because of the next point, and you need to understand this next point because it is critical to your investing, and especially if you're going to invest and watch myself or anybody else on YouTube or listen to anybody's podcast or newsletters or anything else like that. You have to understand this next point. Everybody's investing journey is different. Everybody's situation is different. I have a full position, so I'm just looking to add bonus shares at this stage. I don't need any more. I could never buy again, and I would be perfectly happy with the shares that I have. And most of my shares were bought a long time ago. And since I bought a lot of those a long time ago, I've basically over the past few years just been selectively adding in kind of the mid to low 100 range repeatedly because we've gotten those opportunities. So maybe your situation kind of reflects that, but maybe it doesn't. That's why your plan and everything else is so important. That is why having a plan, price targets, and just executing is so important with investing because it allows you to be selective and not be forced to play games or trade or hedge or FOMO in because of stupid price targets given by YouTubers or anything else like that. No hopium, none of that crap. The other option, and it may be the more prudent option with Tesla, is just do a simple DCA and move on. It is the simplest way, it is the safest way to buy Tesla stock until you get more experience and develop the skills to do a modified DCA like I do, and especially on a stock like Tesla that is so volatile. Either way, execute to your plan, and that's the best way to handle this. Which if you're serious about learning how to do that because you don't have a solid plan, you want to learn valuation and everything else, and you want to put in that work, you're ready, make sure you take advantage of the earnings flash sale because it's live right now where I teach you exactly that. You can work with me, work with our coaches, get that free coaching, be a part of the best 6, 7, and 8-figure Discord out there. No hype, none of that other crap, just simply people trying to help you come up with a great plan, a great valuation, so that way you can be the best investor possible. Check it out. It's the pinned comment down there. It's not going to last long. It's the earnings flash sale. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market. And click here to see my exact plan for this market. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.